Hugh Freeze liked the game plan on Saturday.
Freezing temperatures are likely for several hours inland and a few hours closer to the coast.
Yes.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate. We celebrate every week with Auburn message board legend Charlie5. Hugh Freeze spoke to the media yesterday. Didn't really pull any punches in several regards. We'll discuss, what he said about the quarterbacks and Peyton Thorne and Holden Gariner. Oh my goodness. And then also the coaching staff. But first thing, he liked the game plan. He said, hey, look at the tape. Guys were open, which is what we've said throughout this week and what Daryl said a lot of Sunday morning when we dropped our postgame show.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I've never been more interested in hearing a press conference after a game than I was this one. Number one, because Hugh just will tell you the truth. He'll just flat out, there's not going to be much coach speak. It could hurt your feelings. It could not. But I was happy to hear him, not shy away from anything, head on. And yes, he said, I love the game plan. He said the second half could have been better, but guys were open. And you know what? Knee jerk. When I first watched the game, it felt like, there was issues. Maybe we didn't think out a whole lot of things. Things seemed disjointed, and maybe that's because we're going 3 and out every time. But if you just look at
you didn't score an offensive touchdown. Of course, you got to think something's wrong with the game plan if you don't get into the red zone at all. Charlie5.
I had a discussion with someone, and I was like, "Man, why does it seem like we don't have a script?" And then he responded back. He said, "Did you go back and watch the first 3 plays and what they actually are?" The first play was a read option that got blown up. The second play is the easiest play for the quarterback to execute. It's a quarterback draw. And if he doesn't tiptoe through the line, he's running for 7 yards minimum before he touches. He could have ran for 7 yards and slid, and nobody would have touched him. But he sort of was very timid on making that decision on when to run and which hole to run through. Okay, you know what? Let's give him that one. I'll tell you what, let's call a quick pass. Let's get a quick pass. Let's get some confidence going. The third play, possibly one of the easier throws that you can make, is a little shallow drag. It's a 5-yard pass in the air directly in front of you.
Yeah.
And he throws it way behind Jay Fair. There was 2 reads on that play, and both reads were wide open.
To me, it kind of looked like he changed his mind halfway through. I think Jay Fair was the more shallow option. It's like he was about to throw it, and then he was about to change it to Rivaldo, I think was 5 yards deeper. And I think he was trying to change it and hesitated, and then just slid out of his hand too late. That's what it looked like to me, but I don't know.
That feeling. It's my golf. I do that in golf all the time, where I got a shot in my head that I'm going to play, and then my backswing, I change my mind, and that usually results in disaster.
Not good. Right.
That's exactly what happened. That seems like exactly what happened. Hooks was open, and he's like, oh, man, let me throw it to Hooks. But wait, I got this really easy little dump, this really easy little drag to Jay Fair, easy completion. Regardless, those 2 plays right there cannot be any easier to execute. I don't know what another play that you can call to really get the game going. Easy. There's not many decisions to make. There's not a lot of progressions to go through. And you dial up an awesome seam route to Fromm. He overthrows him. He's late on that read. You dial up an out and up to Jay Fair. He misses it by a ton. So I know I don't want to get into the whole it's on execution, because you have to help your players you have to make sure you can get there. But at the same time, man, when you're dialing up that way and you're averaging, they clearly figured out what to do in the run game. The running joke of the Charlie5 internet is just going to keep going. But we were talking about running backs. We figured out the running game. You're gashing people on the ground, and then for whatever reason, when you go to call a pass play or something, it's I can't like I can't make the decision. I can't pull the trigger. I kind of panic. And when you do that and you go through practice and you're flawless, you're executing the game plan, unbelievably in practice, and then you go into the game and you can't pull the trigger. Like, what do you do? What do you do? It's it was very, very disheartening. And the first drive, the first 3 and out, he was seeing ghosts and there was issues.
Yeah, and I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation because he is seeing ghosts and he's not confident, but like you need him. Like if you want to have this great season that's still in front of you, the opportunity is still there. You need Peyton. And so if you pull him, does it help at all? And I think the answer to that is no, it doesn't help. But yeah, he was asked that question. Charlie5, Hugh Freeze is Peyton Thorne good in practice? And he said he had a great week of practice last
Sharp
week.
was what he said.
Sharp, even better.
He said sharp. He was sharp in practice. And yeah, it's like, I mean, when that's what you're seeing though now twice on the road. So, you go back and look at how Peyton played at Michigan. He was Michigan State. He was great at home. He was like 10-3, I think, at home. And the only losses I think he had at home were to like Ohio State, and like he lost an overtime game to like a Minnesota or something like that. And then he had some really bad road games. And when he played some ranked teams on the road, he struggled mightily. So, we've been to Cal now on the road, struggle, even though you have the final drive to win the game. And now you're on the road against a very talented roster with a very talented front four, and you're done on the opening drive. Like, how do you build off this moving forward? And I feel like the guy that's in practice, that does all the right things, that makes all the right throws, the guy at Samford, like you can say what you want to about Samford, but the passes, the accuracy that's not something where it's like I still got to throw the 35-yard drop in the bucket on the slot fade to a 5'9" receiver. Like I'm still doing those. I'm able to do those things. Like I'm able to rip that 15-yard out route. I'm able to throw that fade to the back corner of the end zone. Why can't I do it when the stakes seem to a little bit higher? And then how do you figure out how to get him there if it's even possible? It's just it's got to be like so frustrating. And Hugh has said that he said this in the fall camp, and he phrased it different. He said he presses. We got to keep him from pressing. And I think that was code for he panics. Like when things don't kind of go right, he sort of panics. And I don't know if you want to call what happened Saturday pressing, but it's sort of, we've had context clues that this could be.
That's fair.
Moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we did Saturday was like the opposite of pressing. I actually wish you would have pressed a little bit more. I think Auburn would have had allowed less than 7 sacks, and maybe there's a ball in the air that a Shane Hooks or a Valdo Fairweather or somebody's able to come down with if you're able to do that. Because, I mean, Peyton didn't really give anybody a shot deep.
No.
I mean, the throw to Fromm was ridiculous and uncatchable, and I mean, he kind of laid him out, right? I mean, that's an unfortunate thing for your quarterback to do to any kind of receiver. The Jay Fair thing wasn't even close. Like, you didn't give anybody a chance. Robbie gave Hooks a chance, and Hooks probably should have caught it. So right. I don't get it. I don't get what are we waiting for here? Like, is this something that could just fix itself? Is this the more reps in an offense he gets, he's going to calm down? Or when fans are yelling at him and the stakes are high, he's just going to fold? Like, it's tough. It's a tough situation, and I don't know how you're supposed to coach it.
What happened Saturday is so much more concerning than throwing interceptions to me. So much more concerning than not being able to run the ball. I'll say that. That's more concerning to me than struggling to run the ball against Cal. When it's seemingly that, and Jake Crane said this, and this may be extreme, but fear. It almost seems like he was afraid.
Something's causing it. There's not a whole lot of emotions that would cause that. Fear is one of them.
And that's what's the most concerning, because it's like, so do I go, when Robbie went in, like you ran 8 plays in a row without a first down, before you put Thorne back in for, that RPO deal that could have been even a bigger disaster, which wasn't really on Thorne. But like, did it didn't get better? And you could say, hey, it's because Robbie didn't get reps, and maybe there's some truth to that, and maybe you eventually have to make a move. But based off Hugh, we should be rolling with Thorne again, and I'm just hoping that maybe it's home team, home crowd makes him be able to calm down beforehand, and he's able to execute.
Yeah, a good game on Saturday would go a long way. I don't think there's any question about it. Let's continue talking about the game plan, specifically RPOs versus, no RPOs on Saturday. Why? We discuss in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Active Wealth Management. We love, of all of the managements, Active Wealth Management is my absolute favorite. Thanks to our friend Ford Stokes. He's an Auburn guy, loves the Tigers, and he wants you to be wealthy and to take care of your money. And he wants to give you this free book. It's called Annuity 360. And all you have to do is go to annuity360.net to get the free book. A lot of information that he wants to give to you so you know what you're getting into, why it works, how it works. He'll answer 1 million questions. He once told me that a client asked him exactly 1 million questions and he didn't care. He didn't care at all. It's a long time. But that's the kind of attention he will give to you. You can head to activewealth.com. At the top right, you can click the button that says to book a consultation, and y'all will sit down and he'll go over everything with you. Very good at what he does. So activewealth.com or annuity360.net for that free book.
Let me tell you who's not afraid to pull the trigger, and that's Ford Stokes.
That's right. You want him in the pocket for you.
There's no question about it. Put some pressure on him. He can make it happen. Let's go.
Yep, that's right. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Charlie5, can you imagine buying tickets anywhere else?
Be dumb. No, I can't.
You want to go to the Auburn, Georgia game? Game Time. You want to go see your favorite musician at a concert? Game Time.
Really? Okay.
Anything. You want to go to the theater? Game Time. They've got you covered. And right now, you can use promo code Locked On College when you make that account, and you get $20 off. How about that? Everybody's talking about how expensive Auburn, Georgia tickets are. Now with Game Time, it's $20 less if you use our promo code.
At least $20 less.
At least. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, Charlie5. He was talking about the RPO. Brian Matthews, I think, specifically asked him, like, okay, PFF said that Thorne was 3 of 4 on play action plays. And
that kind of blew Hugh Freeze's mind.
Freeze was like, hold on. What does that mean? What is PFF like? Because I'm sure they don't look at PFF, right? But it's just kind of like spooked for a second. He's like, I'm trying to think what those 4 plays were. Because then he's like, because we didn't call any RPO, so I don't know if they're counting that or not. But I thought that was interesting, because then he goes into this like big monologue about how he brought the RPO into the SEC, and that was a big part of why they were so successful at Ole Miss. And it's like, yeah, whatever you're doing at Ole Miss offensively, you need to do here. And so it's interesting, this still doesn't seem like, and I don't think he's hiding this, but it doesn't seem like he and Philip Montgomery are on the same page yet. Like that just seems like there's still a ways to go there.
Right. The thing is, like, I don't know if it's that so much as if when you have a quarterback who's seeing stars, do you want to give him an RPO where he's got to make multiple decisions in one play and he can't hardly make one?
But the decision is made for you. because like you just like, okay, what that guy's doing, if he does this, I hand it off. If he doesn't,
you still have to do that all in the blink of an eye. You still have to do that all really quick. So I don't know. I'm just kind of wondering if the game, the flow of it dictated that, okay, I see he's having trouble right now. I don't know if I can put where he's having to read defenders all and I think we got to call just like,
yeah, but you're a quarterback. You're going to have to read defenses anyway.
I get it. And maybe I'm wrong. But like, I just wonder if that's like one of the last things you need to go to is something like that when your quarterback's struggling. I don't know.
I got you.
But again, I'm with you though. I do like you're excited about Hugh Freeze because Hugh Freeze's offense has like always been spectacular, and then Hugh Freeze has sort of turned the reins over to Monty, so he can recruit and he can be the overall game manager, and you can tell it's killing him. Because it's like, man, this is on me. Like people see this and they think this is Hugh Freeze's offense, and maybe some of it is, maybe a lot of it isn't. But the dynamic, and here's another thing, you can't just turn it off now. You can't just say, okay, I'm calling plays now because none of these plays are mine. Like the terminology is not mine. He basically said it. He's like, I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of stuck here. This kind of just is going to be it is what it is, because I can't just like jump in and start calling other people's plays. Then you could possibly be in a really big disaster. Can
I vent about something? Do you mind? On this topic, can I vent about something?
Vent.
Are you getting blasted with sun right now?
Yeah, let me scoot out of it.
Okay. All right. Scoot away while I'm talking about this. So a lot of people have texted me. A lot of people have tweeted at me. A lot of people have commented on the YouTube comments down below, which I love. Thank you so much. We brought Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze was brought in to call plays. That's what he's so good at. And he said that in his opening presser. He needs to be calling plays because that's what he was brought into, so we could have an offense. And my response to that is no, he was not. Hugh Freeze was brought in to fix Auburn football, and that's going to take several seasons to do. This was not an easy fix. And just talking to folks close to them, the first season where Auburn is aiming to be like ultra competitive is when the college football playoff expands to 12 teams.
Sure.
Because he knows that Auburn's got a chance.
I would argue that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But just as far as what he's done, and he talked about it in his presser yesterday, was this isn't the first time I've been, acquired a situation that needed to rebuild. And it took him some time. And he probably got there a little bit quicker than he thought he would at Ole Miss. He's talked about that before. Liberty, he had Malik Willis. Now it's a great marriage between the two of them. And it just, when people say he was brought in here to call plays, he needs to call plays because he's the head coach. No, he needs to rebuild Auburn football, and he has made it very clear that the first priority in rebuilding Auburn football is to get talent on the roster. And as far as rebuilding Auburn football, I don't think it matters as much this season as far as what the offensive plays are. And I guarantee you, Charlie5, if he thought he had the roster to compete to win the SEC, he would be calling plays.
I'm with you 1,000%. Like I would argue, no, he was not hired to call plays. He was hired to bring in here and rebuild and recruit and bring talent in. That's what he was brought. That's what he was brought in for. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think you got to get the program to a point where he can possibly, maybe he will possibly step in and call plays, but like I don't buy that. I would like for him to eventually, because I think that's what's always made him so great. But totally. We're in dire straits as far as being able to bring in talent quickly and turn this thing around, and it takes a lot of attention. And I think it's a lot more critical to build now than it is to be able to win right away. And here's another thing, like this is like kind of conspiracy theorist, but like,
okay, let's go.
Do you want to come into a bad roster and it be the offense tied to your name right off the bat? Or do you want to have, you rebuild and maybe you step in and save it down the road? Maybe there was some strategy there as well. Like, hey, separate yourself from it. It's going to be bad. Go build as hard as you can. And then, if you have to, step in and save it later. I don't know. Just thinking off the top of my head.
I get it.
Could that have played a little bit of into why it is the way it is?
Who knows? If that's the case, Philip Montgomery's watching this like, what? What's going on? What's going on? All right, Damari Austin is out. He will miss some time. How does that impact the offense and the running back room? We discuss in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Charlie5, have you ever just been chilling and you're like, always. I'm starving.
Yep.
I don't want to leave my house.
Every day. Yep.
Today's show brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. I want to say my family keeps DoorDash in business. We use DoorDash all the time. All the time. That adding that second child to the Blackerby roster has made it where like loading the car isn't worth it. It's just not worth it. You have multiple children as well. I would rather go like do almost anything on this planet than load the car more than I need to. It's just wild. Sure. It's just wild. DoorDash, you don't have to. You don't have to. They've got a bunch of restaurants. They also could do grocery now, which admittedly I haven't done yet, but reading these copy points, I think I might do that. Get 50% off your DoorDash order, your first DoorDash order, up to $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONCollege at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off, up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and use code LOCKEDONCollege. Don't forget that's code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. Charlie5, final few minutes here. Damari Austin is out, the running back who has really ascended, had an incredible offseason. You hate it. Not only is he a good running back, but he's a leader in this room as well. So that's a bummer. As far as it impacts things on the field, he's getting around 8-ish touches a game. You got to think Jarquez gets 2 or 3 more. You got to think Brian Batty gets 2 or 3 more. That's what we saw after he went down on Saturday. And then Jeremiah Cobb, you got to think maybe he gets another touch or 2 a game. Does that seem crazy to you?
No, I think that's fair. And Damari, I think honestly was becoming our best all-around back on the team. Like when he went down, he was ripping off. He was ripping off a run. He had two carries for 12 yards. So, and then I think he got hurt on like a swing pass or something. Am I right? Is that the one where he got
hurt on the Texas A&M defensive touchdown that they later called a forward pass, which is wow.
Yeah.
It was the right call, but oh my goodness gracious. Other fan bases in the SEC get so mad when we get a call reversed in favor of us. And I love it. I love it. Yeah. All the Arkansas people were like, of course Auburn's going to get this overturned. I'm like, eat it, Arkansas.
The worst one was the backwards slap on that the RPO thing. That should have been Texas A&M scored on. Should have scored.
I'm with you.
But one thing that's positive and that you can kind of take out of it is the sort of Brian Batty getting a little bit more playing time, and I think he showed some stuff in the passing game that's going to be beneficial moving forward. That you're going to have to go to. You're going to have to lean on your backs because they're the most reliable, I guess, right now. So I hate to see Damari go out like he did. If it's a dislocated shoulder, there's probably going to have to be some surgery that has to be done. Like he could be done, that's the kind of thing could put you out for a year. Running backs kind of got to have their shoulders. You kind of got to be healthy there because they're going to take a lot of punishment. And he was having such a good start to this year, despite everything else that was going on. He has been a really big bright spot. But
I wish I could give him my shoulder.
Let him choose.
Yeah, you can have whichever shoulder you want, Damari. You can have it. I wish.
Can I get on the shoulder transplant list for Damari?
For Damari specifically,
yes. He can have my ball joint or whatever that is.
My leg. Be like, man, my shoulder's super weak now.
Yeah, don't care.
It's not as strong as yours, Damari, but like you can have it if you need it.
Yeah.
You have it if you need it.
Yep.
Charlie5, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Absolutely. Find me on Twitter at @the_Charlie_5 and the Locked On Auburn Discord every single day, or auburnlive.com, the corner message board. Catch me anywhere.
Yep. He's Charlie5. He's everywhere. You can read all my written work at auburndaily.com. You can check out my other podcast, Village Vice. Brad Law helps host that. And we will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.